This is AFTV VIP, the official web app with members-only content, has no ads and a live in-game match center. The bias predictor, it has daily polls and the AFTV 11 selector. Just one click away.
Hello and welcome to AFTV. You've tuned into the daily news show with myself, Cecil G, and we've got James B with me to discuss some topics this morning. James, how are you?
I'm better. Recovered after it was a terrible week, wasn't it? It was a bad week to be an Arsenal fan. But I don't know, I want to have a bit of energy today. I want to just kind of look forward. I've had a bit of an epiphany, which is, you know, when we hired Arteta, considering the pandemic and everything, we expected better this year, but I think we also knew that we couldn't expect big things to happen this year. It's disappointing, but we move. So, yeah, we'll try and be more positive today. Yesterday was flat.
Guys, I'm gonna get out early doors. You know me, so like the emotions got to me yesterday. So I apologize, but we're happy. We're back. We're smiling. The energy is here. Here to brighten up your day. It's tough. It's been a tough time for Arsenal fans and the pandemic, etc. But today we're here to just conversate, get in the comments, hear what we have to say. We've got a lot to talk about. So obviously the people out on loan currently are shining that we've got in the title today. We'd like to go into it a bit more. But yeah, let us know your thoughts. Obviously, Willock coming on, starting, shall I say, having a great game, scoring. Scoring and getting involved in many other goals. And also with Saliba as well, getting player of the month over at Nice, is doing really well. So listen, let's break it down, James. I don't know where you want to start. I'm seeing a lot of comments.
Where to start? I mean, it's a weird. Obviously, with these morning shows, we want to chat about what kind of not necessarily the heavy topics, just pick a bit of news and chat about it. And I thought the way the loanees have been doing since they left, and I know Willock and Maitland-Niles was very recent, but I thought it made for a good discussion, especially because the other day I thought we were quite critical of Rob Holding, rightly so, by the way. I'm not going back on that. But you see how Saliba's doing in France, and you've got to factor different leagues, different teams, different expectations, comfort, all that. But he's doing well, and he won Player of the Year. That'd be amazing after a couple of weeks. He won Player of the Month for January at Nice. Looking at the results, they won a couple games, a few defeats in there. I mean, they're not a great side, but he seems to be standing out. I mean, I guess the question to ask you and the audience is, how do you feel when you're told and you see that William Saliba is doing well out on loan? Like, is your reaction great? That's exactly what we wanted. We want him to go out, do really well, and come back with confidence and experience? Or is your reaction, why didn't we keep him?
That's a good question, James. My initial reaction is, well, you want the player to do the best and what's right for him. In my opinion, if we kept him, James, would he have had chance to come through and play? That's the question. I think it's unfair to have him in the squad and not be featured at all. So now that he's gone out there.
Yeah, but forget that element for a second. Just forget whether Arteta would have given him a chance or whatever. Just purely, he's doing really well at Nice. Yeah. What's your first thought when I tell you that, or you see that? What do you think?
I'm happy for him, James. I know people probably want me to say, damn, we should have kept him. Like, I knew, but I'm happy for him. My first thought is I actually expected him to do well, in my opinion. If we spoke about it before he left, we could see that he was a good defender. He had the attributes to be a good defender. Don't get me wrong. I haven't seen loads of William Saliba, so I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but he looks like the player that would have been good. Dynamism would have been high. Been a good fill-in at Arsenal in the defence. But I mean, he went out on loan. He's doing well. I'm dodging around the question, but
you're a better bloke than me.
Why?
I'll be honest. Like, go on. I see a great site to follow if you want to know some of the updates is GFFN. Get French Football News. They've been on with Robbie, done Transfer Daily before, and the way they speak about him, I sometimes I don't know if they're trying to wind us up as Arsenal fans, but they say things like, he's a leader. He's commanding. Since he's arrived, he's marshalling the defense. So I'm thinking, oh God, why didn't we keep him? And the thing is that Of course. Obviously, when I just sort of sit and I just sort of take the emotion out of it and I just think about it, obviously I'm thinking, no, this is exactly what a loan's for. Same with Willock. You want them to go and do well and come back a better player with a better experience and a more rounded knowledge of the game. So tick, tick, tick. They're doing all that. But the bitter man in me is thinking, why don't we keep him there?
I'm gonna be honest right here. If any of you guys have William Saliba on Facebook, his posts are so ridiculous. They're like, there's him like with the player of the month, for saying player of the month, but saying can't wait to be back at Arsenal, and then things like never forget where you came from, with like photos of him at Arsenal, and it's like every performance he has, he always has a caption saying like, missed. This is great, but I can't wait to be back. He's very like, and I don't know if it's his publisher, whatever, his PA person, or if it is actually him. If it's him, I don't know if he's taking a mick or if he's actually being dead serious. I get what you're saying. I think that's the same as what that tabloid's doing. But his Facebook post, I'm gonna try and get some up now. Actually, but
interesting. I mean, I know on Instagram and you know, there's been a few things on Instagram sometimes. I don't really know. To be honest, I don't follow the players that much on social media. Obviously, if something blows up, you see it. But I don't tend to, I don't know, keep an eye on that too much. Yeah, I mean, I really hope whatever's going on, there's been an agreement that you're going to go, but you do have a future here. You will play. I would be amazed if for the reputation he has and the profile of centre-back he is, if Arteta sort of had already decided he wasn't going to give him a chance. But I don't think that's the case. But yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because Smith Rowe, Reece Nelson, they've had decent loans at times. I mean, Nelson was sort of hit and miss, but Smith Rowe had a good loan at Huddersfield.
Yeah.
And I was the same back then. I was thinking, why are we not giving him game time? Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, do you think it's a case of he can go do really well, play a full half season of football in French football again? Because remember from March 2020 he hadn't played.
Yeah,
and that's what people forget. You know,
that was sorry to cut you. That's what Arteta's argument was. He needs the bedding in period. That's what they kept saying. Like he needs that time. To ease in, so at a club or at a level, at a first team level. So that's why he's obviously sent. That was his argument to send him on loan. So I think your question was going to be like, when he comes back, does he come in? And
yeah, that was my question. Yeah,
I think he should. I still listen. I've been saying it from the get go. Him and Louise still up there with my favorite pairing that could have been at the club. Maybe now we can swap out. Maybe it might be him and Gabriel now. I don't know, but that three is strong to me anyway.
Saliba and Gabriel feels like the future. It feels like the partnership for the next 10 years if Arsenal nurture it and manage it correctly. But you know, it never works out like that. You always think Jack Wilshere is going to be the centerpiece of our midfield for 10 years. And he wasn't because of injuries. And you think this of a lot of players. You think, right, that's it. This is the guy. Build a team around him. Bellerin. You know, this is the right back for the next 10 years. But things happen in football. Things change. And you can't really foresee that. But, you know, Saliba, he's definitely the right profile. You know, people do forget. And maybe not forget, but maybe don't quite internalize and appreciate how difficult it is to play for Saint Etienne. Bless you. Play for Saint Etienne, have the season cut short because of the pandemic, move to a new country, supposedly personal issues.
Yeah.
I say supposedly. I'm sure they're all real. I mean, I think it's pretty much confirmed, but we don't know what's happened, so I don't want to talk on it too much. But clearly, very devastating stuff. Move to a new country, and then at the age of 19, hope to be playing regular football from September. It's a difficult one, especially with the amount of players we had in the squad who I think Arteta at that time was still willing to give a chance to. Your Mustafis, your Kolasinac, players like that. So I think it was an ugly situation that in the end has actually kind of been resolved okay. And the fact that he's playing regular football is a good thing. Yeah. But yeah, it's we're back. Sorry, there was a bit of a stutter there. Can you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can see me. James with a super chat. Yeah, Arteta. Now this is a good super chat because we need to talk over this. Arteta is a professional, so he must know that Saliba was not ready for Arsenal. Whatever fans say, they don't know as much as the pros. It's a tough one, this one.
That's it. I think there's a lot of truth in that, but also managers get things wrong. I'll give you an example. Frank Lampard.
On Willian. So, I'm sorry, carry on.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I had a slightly less Arsenal direction.
No, go on. Do your one.
Take Frank, right? Frank Lampard. Jorginho and Rudiger were as good as gone out of the club. He gets sacked. Tuchel comes in. Jorginho's playing a lot, and Rudiger's back in a back three, and 3 wins out of 4.
Yeah,
1 goal conceded or something. You know, that's the funny thing about football, is that managers can just have different opinions and different things that they look for in their players.
Enigma, he's playing to increase his value to move. I don't know if I believe this. This does happen though in football. Very loan deals are actually based on this at times, but I don't think this is the case.
But
go on. I'm not saying this is not the case for Saliba. I'm just saying that this does happen though.
I know ultimately Arteta should do whatever's right for the team, whatever he believes is going to get the best. And if he doesn't think Saliba's the guy, then rightly or wrongly, he should do what he thinks. But if you're Vinay or you're Josh Kroenke or all the Kroenkes or Edu or whatever, you're going to say to Mikel, look, your job is to build a team of players that fit your philosophy, but it's also your job to get the best out of what you got. And this is a £30 million investment who was considered, this isn't exaggerated, he was considered the best young centre-back in world football. And if he doesn't get anything out of him, that's very concerning. So I think there'll be pressure from upstairs to like push the Saliba agenda a little bit, you know, almost to a point where it might be like, look, you might not think he's better than Luiz and Holding now, but in a year or two, he probably will be. Therefore, we need to see him playing more because there's a better, you know, there's a better nurture there.
I agree. And to back that point up, you can just look at Fofana at Leicester. You can, and William Saliba's deemed, well, he's proven that he's better than him. So you can just look. If you can't see it, then that's good enough proof. If you don't believe it, so I look forward to seeing him return when he comes back. See people saying here as well, Wesley Fofana.
Absolutely. And you know, I suppose a kind of a last point before we move on to the Smith Rowe stuff. That's not Smith Rowe, Willock is. I worried about Arteta and the management of 3 youngsters in particular, and he's ultimately gone on to do the right thing. So first one being Smith Rowe. I was worried that we weren't going to see him get any game time. I thought this is the right profile. He looks exciting. He's done well for the reserves. He did really well at Huddersfield. When will he get a proper chance? I don't mean an appearance in the Europa League. I mean proper chances. And actually, it did happen. And Arteta just felt he wasn't ready before that. And when he came in, he did really well against Chelsea. And so you sort of think, well, actually, then if he's come in and he started this brightly, then maybe Arteta has managed him right, you know. And the other 2 are firstly Bukayo Saka. Let's remember that when Arteta came into the team, he was playing Saka at left back because he had to. But Saka didn't start in the semi-final or the final of the FA Cup. He found another way to win without him, maybe because he didn't feel Saka was ready for that level yet, even though Saka had been playing really well under him. And he had a little spell when he wasn't in the team. And people were saying, this is really weird. Is it the contract? What's going on? But now, the way he's playing some of his best football, because he's moved from left wing back to left wing to right wing. And you feel like there's been a natural progression in his game. And a lot of that has come under Mikel Arteta. And the final player, who I think is a good example, is Gabriel Martinelli, who I know he's had an injury and hasn't played as much. But every time I've had doubts that he doesn't rate him, like against Villa, where he doesn't bring him on, actually you do realise the way he speaks about him, he does bring him on probably more than people think. And actually, I feel like Martinelli, because of the way Pepe's playing, Aubameyang's still there, doesn't need to be rushed either. So just examples of 3 youngsters where I had worries about Arteta's views on them, but actually they're developing nicely.
Yeah,
so maybe it will be another one.
Definitely, that kind of just backs up the point of people saying about Arsene Saliba, was he treated badly? I see a lot of people in the comments saying, what's our thoughts on the treatment of him? But Arteta seems to be getting it right with others. So, and if I'm honest, well, I'm not inside the club, so I wouldn't know. But from other players' posts, like the Fofana saying you're free and stuff, that does leave question marks. However, if he's succeeding at Nice and he returns and he comes straight back in, then you can't say it's a bad decision, him going on loan, in my opinion.
And also, we do have, I don't know if this record still holds, the second best defence in the league, statistically, by numbers, by goals conceded. So there's clearly something going right from the defensive side of things. And you know, it's a bit like when Chelsea, actually, you know what? It's not like this, actually, because it's a completely different level. But when Chelsea sold De Bruyne and Salah, it looks stupid now, doesn't it? Because you think, how have you, they're probably the two best players in the league. How, well, up there. How on earth did Chelsea let them go? But they won the title after they sold them. So you kind of think Chelsea fans shouldn't, you know, won't really cry about it because they're like, well, we won the league title, so we don't really care. And Mourinho sold them will say, I won the Premier League, so I don't really care. And that's kind of, it's a bit like that. If the team is performing, it doesn't really matter who's in and out. As long as we're getting results, I don't really care a little bit. You know what I mean?
I agree. Emmanuel says Saliba was a future before giving Holding a new deal. He was supposed to replace Holding, but Arteta is ruining the guy's career. Now, I think this is wrong as well. I think that the new contracts for Holding and stuff, that is as well. He's probably, Holding probably will get sold at some point, and putting him on a longer deal increases his value anyway. And that's for in time for when Saliba returns. So I don't know if this is bad business. I think this is the right move that Arsenal have done here from the club.
It's funny because sometimes I think the club can't win, right? Because how do I put it? So Rob Holding, who's doing well this season, his stock's probably going up a little bit. Other Premier clubs are probably looking at him and going, do you know what? Actually, probably a good option for us.
Yeah.
He probably starts for maybe 8 to 10 teams in the league, maybe. And I think what Arsenal have done is protected his value. As far as I'm aware, they've not given him 100k a week. I think they've given him a very respectful salary that you know highlights where he is as a player, you know, in sort of footballing terms, what he's worth. You know, but that doesn't break the bank either. They protected his value and great. But if he continued to perform like this, but he didn't have a contract and it, you know, went down like it has for many other players, take Welbeck, you'd be saying that's another player going for nothing. So I think the contract was a smart bit of business. Whether I think Holding's a future, which I don't, I think it was a smart bit of business, and I like him. I like Holding. Good squad player.
This is a nice comment as well. Leslie Torres says, I don't understand negativity. Cecil and James are having great points about the long-term mindset that we are currently aiming for, which it is more about the long term. It really, I have to check myself and calm myself down and always remember about the long-term mindset. And I know as fans, we probably don't want to hear that. We do want quick fixes and we want to be up there challenging. I understand that, but we have to think long-term because Arteta hasn't had a full season yet. He's in his first full season. The club, as much as I've been saying this in my fan career of Arsenal, I say that we've been rebuilding for what 10 plus years now, but realistically, come on, Arteta hasn't, like I said, he hasn't had his first full season. It's got to give him time. That's just how it is. I'm not going to blame the pandemic actually too. It has affected things, the signing of players and the building of the club. So yeah, James, thoughts?
Spot on. And I absolutely have to do the same thing. I have to check myself as well. I have to stop and go, James, you know, just relax. What were you expecting? And genuinely, when I do that, this is going to sound a bit weird. It does put a smile back on my face because I remember that we're at the very start of this journey. And at the very start, we've already got an FA Cup. I've already developed some youngsters and a future for the team that I feel so excited about. I feel so excited about Gabriel. I feel so excited about Partey and Smith Rowe and Saka and Martinelli and maybe Odegaard. Tierney, I love Tierney and Leno. Like, there are players there that I feel really excited about. And Arteta's brought a lot of them in, developed a lot of them, but he's also put his faith in a lot of them. He put his faith in Leno, who I believe is having a better season than Emi Martinez. There's probably not a lot in it. They're both very, very good. He could have kept either one, but
that's a tight one to call out. But yeah, fair. It's not much in it.
No, it's not. But remember, the reason I bring that up, remember a lot of people said, "Oh my god, we sold the better goalkeeper, small club mentality." I just don't think there's anything in it. But both great keepers for me. Yeah, I think Martinez is maybe a little bit more commanding, but I think Leno's just an elite shot stopper. But I think you're right. I have to sometimes check myself. I have to stop and just remind myself, what were we expecting? And when we hired Arteta, we thought we'd have a pretty big summer, and that maybe this season we'd start to see what we were hoping for. But a pandemic happened, and look how that's affected clubs around Europe. Around Europe, I think of the top clubs in Europe, how many of them do you think are having the kind of season they were expecting to have?
Oh, I don't think many are at all. No way.
Right.
No way. You look at
that, and that's the thing. Do you know what? I'm going to look it up while we're talking about it. But
yeah, well, while you do that, I'm going to just bring up some comments quickly. James is going to love. James, sorry, I can't say his name, but thank you. I'm going to say Sharma just for the end. What's your response on Curtis calling AFTV Arteta fan TV? Now, Curtis is a good friend of mine. James,
yeah, I love Curtis.
We speak with him a lot, and we we argue about this a lot alongside Laurie as well. Make sure you go check out Talk Is Cheap on the AFTV channel, because we're like the opposite when it comes to Arteta. But
yeah,
listen,
they're slightly more cynical than us. I'd say. Do you know what? I'd say they say how it is. Right. I think I've got no problem admitting that I'm always kind of looking for the positives and looking for hope. But guess what? I'm a fan. So of course I am. Like, I want my team to win. So I'm always looking for the good in the team and things that encourage me. I don't work for the club. If I work for the club, maybe I'd be more cynical. I'd be thinking, I got to be straight about this. But no, look, I respect their opinions, man. They're good friends, and yeah. But trust me, if Arteta ever lifts that Premier League title, I'm going to get it printed in a big old frame. I'm going to send it to their house. I'm going to let them enjoy. I'm going to sign it as well.
Yeah, 100%. James said it perfectly there. I just want to say,
we're a long way from that.
We are. I'm just sick of the chopping and changing of manager culture. I hate it. I've said it loads of times before. I really dislike it. So I stick with my manager until.
Arteta fan TV is good though. That's
funny. I'll have to mess with him after this. Cheeky. But yeah, that's my point on it. But yeah, Curtis and Laurie, they kill me. Boy Motive says Arsenal should make a bid for Ollie Watkins. Now, in the pre-match build-up show, I was going to have a graphic. I had a graphic actually, but I chose to skip through it about Ollie Watkins and Lacazette. And if I'm honest, there's not loads in it. Don't get me wrong. Ollie Watkins is a great player, and what he does for his team is great, but I wish I had the graphic. But honestly, comparing him and Lacazette, I know you might be thinking, no way, Ollie Watkins better maybe from what you see, but I'm telling you, Lacazette's numbers, statistics, the minutes he's played, the goals he scored, the goal involvements he's had is a lot higher than, well, not a lot higher, there's actually one in it between them both. But yeah, there's not much difference in it. So it's like bringing in the same sort of player. I know Ollie Watkins is taller, that's about it. But Lacazette is just as physical, holds up the ball well, brings players in just as well, and only has one goal less than him this season. So
yeah, I think Watkins looks a little bit more. It's the word exuberant, just a little bit more lively.
Yeah,
I do think Lacazette. I think there's more quality in Lacazette than people give him credit for. I think the disrespect about what he's done over his career and stuff is ridiculous. However, he does look like he's slowing down a little bit. But yeah. Don't know.
Yeah,
just my thoughts.
James is back. James is back with a super chat. Thank you again, James. Big up. Not you, James, but yeah, Arsenal should learn from Don Robbie. Robbie has brought in a couple of great additions in Cecil and James. Keep up.
Thank you. Man. Very sweet. Very sweet.
Screenshot that. Put that. Send that to Robbie.
I've actually got another super chat here from a bit earlier on. Don't want to miss it. We lack depth in centre midfield. Yet Arteta loaned again Doozy. We'll chat about centre midfield and Willock and all that in a little bit. And I think, is there another super chat?
There is another one. Sorry, I did miss that one. Sorry, but thank you, James, for bringing it up. There is another one.
Don't you worry. We're a tag team. We cover. We get cover each other's backs.
100%.
More than Louise and Holding do for each other, apparently.
The thing is, right, I may have... I've got it here. Sorry, apologies. Sorry, guys. Imran says, we don't know what Arteta saw from Saliba in training. He may not have been ready. the club should have communicated better, but Nice is a good place for him to develop. Look how City dealt with Foden. 100%.
Foden's a great example.
Foden really
wasn't rushed in at all.
At all.
And in fact, a lot of people kept saying, why is he not playing more? But look at the football he's playing now. He was drip fed a little bit of football and a little bit of experience, but ultimately he was learning from some of the best. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
James, spot on. And big up as well.
Just on that point I was making about, our expectations for Arsenal this season, or what we should be expecting. And you look at other teams, right? So Man City obviously having a very good season. They're top of the league and they're quite clear of that. But if you look, Liverpool, they're not where they want to be. Chelsea are not where they want to be. Tottenham are not where they want to be. Then if you look across other leagues, I mean, even Celtic aren't where they want to be. But if I'm just scrolling across, I look at La Liga. Atletico Madrid storming it. Barcelona not having the season they'd have hoped for. Madrid not having the season they'd have hoped for. Look at the Bundesliga. Bayern Munich, all right, they're looking quite comfortable. But Dortmund not having the season they'd have hoped for. Leipzig doing well second, but they're not, again, where they'd want to be. You look at the Serie A. Juventus, again, if they win their game in hand, okay, they close the gap on Inter Milan and AC, but they're not where they would be expecting to be. Even Roma a bit further off than they'd have hoped. Lazio, Napoli, I guess the point I'm making is there's a lot of very good sides. PSG are third behind Lyon and Lille. There's a lot of sides that are not having the season that they were expecting them to have, and they're not reaching the level they would have hoped for this year. So to think that this is just an Arsenal thing is wrong. And if we were being realistic, what were our expectations for Arsenal? Sixth at best.
Yeah.
I was hopeful of top four. I feel if we had a good season, we could get top four because everyone's unpredictable. But realistically, if I was betting my house on it, I would have said sixth at best. So if we finish seventh or eighth, which is still very doable, we're not, kind of to scale, we're not really doing any worse than anyone else in terms of the expectations to the reality of what they're getting. Do you know what I mean? We never thought Ozil was going to be not making him the problem. I'm not saying it's on him, but he was going to be the problem that Arsenal would have to solve in the way he was. Say with Mustafi and lots of other players, we didn't think when we hired Arteta that all these players were dead weights we had to get rid of. So there's a lot of work to do during a pandemic as well. And when I remind myself of all these things, I can stop and think, do you know what? Just enjoy football for what it is right now. Just enjoy it for a decent title race, an unpredictable Champions League, a tight league, because enjoy watching Bukayo Saka and Thomas Partey every week, because this year was always going to be a write-off. Is it worse than we hoped? Absolutely. Is it unacceptably bad? Yes. But it's not. I'm not in the camp. I'm not ready to throw Arteta out and start a new project again. I don't think I'm there.
Okay, I agree with you. Should we move on forward to the midfield so we can speak on Willock, the Guendouzi's? I watched Willock's performance and I was very impressed. No, I was very impressed. I was going to say I was surprised, but to be fair, Willock produced a performance that I knew he had in him, 100%. And there was a question there: is he a box-to-box or a 10? He is 100% to me a box-to-box midfielder. That's been my decision from before he went to Newcastle on loan. But even that game, he was up and down, creating assists. As John Joe Shelby should have scored when he Willock passed it across. Obviously, Willock got his goal to kickstart their Newcastle win. So I think he must be really happy playing there. I saw in his interview after as well, he just wants to continue it and just keep going. And I'm really happy for him, because he's a player that I believe he definitely has ability, but he underachieved a little bit at Arsenal. That might be due to the time that he got given to produce. So I'm happy.
Yeah, I think it's the role he was played in as well. I think that's a big part of it. I'm with you. I'm delighted. He started like a house on fire, and I hope it continues. He's definitely a box-to-box. He played it in a 4-3-3 for Newcastle. That's exciting for me, because that's where I think he thrives. He is a box-to-box in a midfield three, where you probably have better technicians around him. By the way, he's not bad on the ball. He's very good on the ball. But he's the energy. He's the runs. He's the dynamism. And he's the one who gets on the end of it, in the box. Yeah, people saying Willock is not good enough. But I mean, beg to differ at the moment. I'm not saying he's definitely good enough, but I think he could play a part in the squad. Is he less talented than Scott McTominay? Oh, I think he's a good player, by the way.
Yeah, I think he's a good player as well. I think the United fans will be like, don't you dare put him and Willock in the same bracket. But I don't think that he's less talented than him. He might be ahead of him by
talented. I'm not saying is he as good a player, but I mean ability, talent, you know, and attributes. No, I don't think he's much worse. He might not read the game as well. He might not be as tenacious, but I think he's pretty tenacious though, Willock.
He is. I think the stature of Scott McTominay as well, and the power he provides for his team, I think is a bit different to Willock. That's the only thing. But I wouldn't say there's much.
When Willock's running, he's a pretty powerful player. I mean, I think every team needs a Willock. I think when I look at our midfield, I'm glad he's gone loan, don't get me wrong, but we kind of need a Willock. Kind of need someone who's got a bit more drive. Yeah, I know it's one game. But it's his debut for Newcastle. It's a Premier League team. This isn't, that was pretty impressive. I think he also had like the fewest touches and the fewest passes, something like that. But that's kind of what I mean. It's his off the ball. It's the leg work. That's quite impressive.
Yeah. That's what you need.
I don't think we ever quite appreciated that.
Yeah. Go on. I was going to move on. I was going to highlight the Guendouzi situation as well. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that. Well, there's not really a topic, but yeah, him coming back.
I feel the same about Guendouzi as I do about Willock. I mean, I think Willock and Guendouzi are very similar. Only Willock maybe has a bit more final third product. But I think Guendouzi, what I liked about him last year was when things were going wrong, he was the guy who he got on the ball and tried to make things happen. He is an absolute leader, and he's a brave footballer, and I love that. I love his drive. I like the way they can both carry the ball, but Guendouzi better than Willock. Willock's sort of more an off the ball guy. I think the squad has place for one of them for sure. So I hope they're both on loan now. As far as I'm aware, Guendouzi's doing well as well. So watch this space. I think it's gonna be really interesting how these two do.
Before we wrap up, I'm very intrigued. So I keep looking up. Everyone's like, he just always looks up, but it's just me in my head. There's nothing there, people. Don't worry. But I'm very intrigued to see, James. Right, when all these loans run out, what happens? Like, will Arsenal make signings and we have a different squad and a stronger squad, and these people that are on loan have to find new clubs, or we bring back these players that have been on loan, may have really good loan spells, and they get integrated back in the team? It'll be I know this is a future thinking question, and no one really knows the answer, but what is going to happen? Because obviously we lose our loan players, and we lose our loan players, and we bring back in my opinion, what we call dead wood. So what happens there? I
think Arteta and Edu are trying to build their value. I think they're trying to. Guendouzi wouldn't budge in the summer. No one would pay the kind of money we thought he was worth, so we sent him on loan. And teams who maybe had doubts about whether he's a £30 million midfielder will probably now be thinking, actually, do you know what he is? He's doing it in the Bundesliga, and he's 21, 22. Yeah, we're probably happy to spend that money. Torreira, I don't think he's really doing it, but again, I think he's proving himself to be a decent squad player at the highest level. Funny one, isn't it? It's funny. You're right. What do we do with them? I mean, you'd hope Saliba comes back in, and if Luiz doesn't get a new contract, which, as well as I think he's doing, I know the red card, I know, but I think he's had a pretty good Arsenal career, in fairness.
Yeah.
But I don't think we should give him a new contract. More, not because I don't think he's good enough, but more as a statement. You know, we're trying to build for the future now. Thank you, David, for everything, but we're trying to move on. It's a really interesting one. That
it is. I agree. We'll see. Listen,
apparently we have big ambitions for the summer. So
yeah, no, I did see that as well. I saw an article today actually about that, because of the players that we got out, that we're freeing up funds for the summer.
I just want to also
go on.
Sorry, Cecil.
No, I was going to say, and Odegaard as well. Sorry, I know that there's massive talks that if he does well, that the club are willing to make an offer for a permanent deal here at Arsenal. Yeah. So
I just brought up this from Yash. This was from our earlier conversation about 5 minutes ago. Are we really downgrading ourselves to 7th and 8th? We're not mid-table club. Yash, I completely hear you. Like, I'm not saying that's acceptable. I'm not saying that's good enough. But what I'm saying is, with all the circumstances, with everything that's been going on, if we thought the best we could hope for was 6th, maybe 7th, because I think we just about scraped top 10 for starting 11s. I really believe that. or at least I did a month ago before Smith Rowe and Saka on the right and Pepe doing well and all that. I guess what I'm saying is, no, it's not acceptable. But if I'm seeing an improvement in our football and an improvement in squad building, an improvement, I see a good direction, I feel good about what the club's trying to do, I'll swallow it for a season because I've seen progression in other areas. Of course, it's not good enough. Is it a really, really poor season if we finish 7th or 8th? Of course it is, absolutely. But when you're in a transition, there's context, and that shouldn't get lost. People are too quick to say. I saw the other day, who was it on Twitter? Someone said, you know, you can't transform and just suddenly win the league after 1 year. And someone said, oh, well, Leicester did it. But Leicester's a freak. Leicester's an absolute freak situation. Even Man City, with all the money they had, took a few years of building and buying to build a team that could challenge for the title. So this is kind of what I mean. It's not good enough. But if we're playing good football, we look competitive, and we look like we're slightly improving week on week, and we have a good summer, I'll kind of swallow 7th to 8th. But then the pressure's on to really, really takes up the table the year after. And that's the thing. If with fans, if you're willing to accept one bad year, I don't know if you feel about how you feel about this, Cecil.
Yeah. Go on.
One bad year. Last year wasn't on Arteta. So anyone saying, oh, we finished 8th last year, that's not on Arteta, and he still won the FA Cup.
So he overachieved. He overachieved, in my opinion, in the time he had.
It's been a good season. He won the FA Cup.
Yeah.
But it's one of those where, how do I put it? I'll take 7th or no, I won't take it. No, I won't take it. But if we finish 7th or 8th, I'll say fine. But this next season needs to be really good. Because now it's getting too late in the day. Do you get what I mean? I don't know how you feel about that. I won't suddenly go, okay, 7th. Well, 5th or 6th will now be good. Oh, you know, and then the year after maybe 4th. No. It's got to be right. Serious push for 4th, and then a serious push for top 3, top 2 the year after. That's what a big club does in transition. Can't be baby steps.
100%.
So it's a funny one, isn't it? It's a weird, it's a sensitive one.
Yeah, 100%. James, you said it all there. That's exactly what I expect because we've been patient this season. And like I said, he hasn't had a full season, Arteta. So give him his full season. Then hopefully, depending on what COVID does, he gets a full pre-season with his team, gets to settle down, gets his playing style and whatnot. And I expect to be challenging. Well, it should be top 4 next season, regardless if Arteta stays in the job. And yeah, that's it.
Rayan, he won the FA Cup. I don't know what else to say. You know, he comes in mid-season, the problems aren't his fault, and he wins an FA Cup. None of us expected that, so he's overachieved. This season, is he underachieving? Absolutely. Mikey says if Arteta doesn't get top 4 next season, he has to go. There's probably a lot of truth in that. We have had a last-minute super chat just before. The real Janice says the last 2 games hurt so much. Genuinely don't care about this season. Dreams of European glory come the end of the season. Is it really viable? Probs not. Yeah, Europa League's unlucky. It is unfortunate, but again, if someone offered me 14th and the Europa League win, take it all day. I'll take it all day. I'd probably take 16th. I'm not even joking because it books your place.
Champions League. I know. I hear that.
I don't care. It's a trophy, and it's a defining trophy. Gets you into the Champions League, gets you the money they need. Who would care? We're still in the Premier League. And I know it's embarrassing, and there'd be a serious inquest. Don't get me wrong. But if we win the Europa League, all is saved. All is saved and beyond. Absolutely.
100%. Right.
Big ask, though.
Big ask. But I thought the FA Cup was a big ask, and Arteta done it. And I've seen crazier things happen in this football league. So yes, right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching AFTV News Daily. Check out the app for AFTV.mobi and all the other stuff we have on there. Algia Touch, the polls, the ice bath, and the podcast Forever Arsenal. Stay tuned for more content. We'll be back very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
This is AFTV VIP, the official web app with members-only content, has no ads and a live in-game match centre. The bias predictor, it has daily polls, and the AFTV 11 selector. Just one click away.